بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله وعلى آله وصحبه ومن والاه. طيب, today we are here. Let's get straight into it. How not to read Surah Shams. Why not? It is good to also read some Quran, and one of the best ways, sometimes even when I teach my students, I tell them that from mistakes we can learn. For example, I add a ghunna where there's not supposed to be a ghunna. I add idgham where there's not supposed to be idgham and ikhfa, and then they have to correct me. So here as well, we will go through Surat Ash-Shams. And who can be a better help in this, how not to read Surah Ash-Shams, but especially someone who claims knowledge, than our friends, the Imamites. And here to make it clear, we are not here to generalize all the Shias. It's not going to be a Shia bashing. We're not talking about all Shias. It's not. We will talk about one particular individual and a group of Shias, which is the clergy, the clerics, the turban ones, and the polemicists, and why they are, generally speaking, known for anything but excelling in the recitation of the Qur'an, or forget about excelling in it, knowing the basics like makharij al-huruf and tajweed. They are failures when it comes to this.
Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen
Ar-Rahman Ar-Rahim Maliki Yawmiddin
إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين
اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم
غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين.
So it's not a bashing, it's not a generalization of all Shias. There is many. I used to be a Shia, and we will talk about it. There are many Shias who can read the Quran, but we will discuss why is it that these so-called ayatullahs, these so-called signs, miracles of Allah, and their students and their followers from amongst their polemicists are such failures when it comes to the basics of the deen. We're talking here about the basics, and no, that's what it is. And Surah Ash-Shams will be our example that we're going to use today. And Sheikh Abu Muslim, salam alaikum akhi.
كيف حالك, brother? How are you doing?
Alhamdulillah, jazakallah khair akhi.
So brother Hassan and I will be going through this topic of why is it that Sunni Muslims and often Sunni polemicists often concentrate on the topic of why Shias have such an issue with tajweed, and why we constantly bring it up, and why our theological opponents constantly complain that we're nitpicking and that we should be looking at the meanings and the tafsir and not concentrate on how a certain person pronounces a word or mispronounces a word. This is going to be one of the main parts of our discussion today, and why this is such a big issue. And I think the problem here is that the Shia, they missed the wood for the trees, in that a bus driver, you would not get on a bus that was driven by a man who didn't have a driving license, right? This is a very basic thing, isn't it, brother Hassan?
Right, correct.
Right? Would you let your mother go under the knife and for surgery by a person who is not qualified surgeon, a person who offered to do the surgery in your front room in the comfort of your own house, and who doesn't know the basics of, say, cell biology, let alone more advanced medicine? Would a company trust a person who calls himself a civil engineer to not only be hired as a civil engineer, but to come on, build a bridge, right, over which thousands and millions of people will drive across, and their lives depend on it, when he doesn't even know the basics of, say, quadratic equations or the basic mathematics, first year mathematics in a civil engineering degree?
No.
So So Hassan, don't you not think that it's just from common sense that a person who doesn't know the ABC of a topic should not even be indulging in topics in which acquire grounding in fiqh, grounding in Arabic, acquire grounding in tafsir, acquire grounding in Quranic sciences, and why this is such a reiterated point amongst Ahl Sunnah towards the Shia, because of how generally, as a generality, especially amongst this is the main problem. This is not just a problem amongst the layman, but amongst the scholarship, amongst the polemicists and amongst the du'at, of how pretty bad they are generally in all this, and why there's so little emphasis on the basics. And that's why they want to throw out red herrings and confuse you and push you away and say, no, don't concentrate on that. Look over here. Look over here. Look at what we're saying. Don't worry about the fact that our scholars who've been teaching 50, 60 years in Qum can't recite Surah Al-Fatiha like a Sunni, a Bengali Sunni child from East London to that level, a non-Arab, for example. So this is the main issue. This is what we really want to come in. And obviously, as Brother Hassan said, we're going to be concentrating on just a case example, a case study of one person who's a well-known polemicist from the UK, Hassan al Qadri, who constantly, quite frequently poses with hundreds of books in front of him, claims academia. He puts other people down as being not on his level. Likes to pose
extend excuses and whatnot.
Extend excuses, and poses with Fath al-Bari, which is an explanation of Sahih al-Bukhari by Ibn Hajar, and is not something that's open the beginning levels. We're going to show you.
Abu Muslim, there's one thing I wanted to stress on, is that, as I mentioned at the beginning, that of course they will come with excuses, that what is the threshold of reading Quran correctly? Why do you nitpick and whatnot? Again, look, I don't know how many times you need to explain it to them, but this will be the final cut. This will be the final cut, inshallah, because look, I myself, a few weeks ago, I was invited on a live TV show, satellite channel live, with an Arab Egyptian host. Those who know Egyptian accent, they talk fast. He interviewed me about my story, how I left Shiism, and so on and so forth, my da'wah and so on. That was 2 shows, 2 separate days. So not roughly, I think 2 hours. It was difficult. I'm not a native Arabic speaker. I'm not. And I made tons of mistakes. You can find tons of mistakes of mine, tons. I make mistakes in Arabic. You make mistakes in Arabic. Sunnis make mistakes in Arabic. And Arabic, even that mistakes in Quran. In fact, you can find big Qurra even, or the Imams of the Haram. They pray sometimes in Tarawih and they make some mistakes. Of course, that's normal. Mistakes. We always tell these people that, why don't you understand? Everybody does mistakes. I remember one of the turban heads, Brother Abu Muslim, the Shubairi, he found one clip of mine somewhere where in the park, in front of people around me, and I'm talking to one of the heads of Fadak TV. And I mixed Fusha and Ammiya, because in the house, my wife speaks Arabic, so I mixed Fusha and Ammiya, and then I said, I don't know, I said Laysa instead of Lastu or something like that. Oh, and then he made it a big deal. He said, oh, look, he doesn't even know this Alif Ba. I said, Ya Jahil, if you're a man, Ya Jahil, at least, أعوذ من كلمة أنا, but at least I dare to stand there in front of your people and speak in Arabic. And then I make mistakes. Will you do that? And then we have heard how he speaks Arabic, and musibatul kubra. So that's the thing. I make mistakes. All of us make mistakes. But here's the thing, guys. Listen. Whether you're Sunni or Shias, of course there's a threshold. They ask, is there a threshold? Of course there is. I myself, I'm a teacher. And one of the subjects I do teach is actually Tajweed. I do teach Tajweed, alhamdulillah. And sometimes my students have a question, various ages. I had between like 6 years, from 6 years to 99 years old. One good question that I always love when the students ask, they say, but is it really absolutely necessary? Is it necessary that everybody reads the Quran perfectly? What about if there's an old person? I always advise them. I say, never mock someone. Never mock someone who genuinely can't read the Quran. Let someone is in some remote village and he tried his best. And I said, no, we don't go around and mock people, mock their accents, mock their Persian accent or their Bengali accent or their Urdu accent or whatever accent. No, these people don't understand. We are not talking about an auntie who lives somewhere in a remote village. We are talking about people, guys, who refer to themselves as Ayatullah. Which can be translated as miracle or sign of Allah. We are talking about people who have Fath al-Bari there on their bookshelves, who speak, who pretend they are, all of it, who doubt the iman of the Sahaba, make takfir of the Sahaba, or make, like this Qadri Jahil who says, oh, I don't make mas takfir. Yeah, you only make mas tabdi' on the Sahaba, mashallah. Most Sahaba are dallin only, especially Muhajir and Ansar, that Allah says, follow them. According to them, Fatima radhiyallahu anha called them treacherous and whatever. So this is the point here. The point is that you can't compare people who genuinely have issues, problems in pronunciation, have never learned it, with people who claim to be Ayatullah and they don't learn the basics of Ayatullah.
Yeah. So let's take let's have a quick look at this tweet here, which is an example of one of the things we're talking about. Someone told his ignorance
on Twitter,
with Twitter accounts that being an academic and polemicist doesn't equate to being familiar with tajweed rules. Being an academic and a polemicist doesn't equate to knowing the very basics of Qur'an, how to recite the Qur'an, how to read the Qur'an properly, which in turn it has a profound effect on how to understand the Qur'an. Right. Just like you cannot be bashed for knowing tajweed but not proper tafsir.
Look at the Batil Qiyas analogy.
It's very desperate,
Okay, what do you see about this analogy? This is very important. Look, just like you cannot be bashed for knowing tajweed but not proper tafsir. Yeah, look at this Jahil, yani. What shall I say? What would you call it? You have to call it spade a spade. Ya miskeen, tafsir is a deep science. Does everybody write the book of tafsir? Does everybody go to tafsir class? Is this fard ayn to read the word of to write tafsir, to know tafsir? Is it fard ayn? No, but is tafsir part of the daily life of a Muslim? Literally, not. It is not, and definitely not as much as makharij al-huruf and tajweed are. We are teaching kids when we say to our students, the younger ones and the older ones, we say to them, listen, the reason it is wajib, yes, wajib, compulsory. It is wajib for you to know at the very least correct makharij al-huruf and the basic rules of tajweed. Of course it is wajib, because one letter changed. Look at these Jahil Ayatullahs, we're going to listen to them later. Look at these Khurafiyun who can wail for a few hours. But they can't read the Quran correctly. It changes the meaning and has nothing to do from them being Persians, Iranian. I'm Iranian. If there's millions of Iranian Sunnis who recite correctly, there's millions of Pakistani non-Arabs and Bengali Arabs and Indian non-Arab Muslims and Indonesians and so on and so forth. So look what they say. Just like you cannot be bashed on knowing tajweed but on proper tafsir. Just comparing apples. The thing is, you guys know is how to make personal attacks. Personal attacks, as if we talked about his shoe, or the favorite color of his. I don't know.
That's right. For the layman, there could be some truth to this, but we're talking about polemicists and academics. How can a polemicist and an academic, a person who professes outwardly by his activity, right, by what he's doing, he's saying that I have studied and therefore I'm in a position to come and teach everyone else and correct others and put forth the correct Shia opinion on this matter. So by extension, by him saying that, it necessitates that he knows the basics. He knows he's got a grounding in Arabic. He knows how to reach the sources. He knows how to extract from the source text, right, without having to use translation. So it is an oxymoron. It all contradicts each other, right? By being an academic and being a polemicist, you have to be familiar with the basic sciences, right? Okay. So what he's basically saying here is that, look, you can push the Shiite narrative as long as you want, as long as you push the Shiite conspiracy theories and the fairy tales, which require nothing except just sitting there, opening your head, letting a Shia scholar empty his, say what he wants, and your head just fills up with all that, and you go on and regurgitate that. That doesn't require Arabic. That doesn't require tajweed. So what are you complaining about? That's all we're doing. That's basically all they want. So yeah, it doesn't really apply doesn't really apply to academics and polemicists. They have to know the basics as much as you complain. It's fallacious reasoning.
Fallacious reason. Yeah, I call it damage control. You know, I know that deep inside. I've seen some of them. You have seen it as well. I share this stuff with you, and you share it with me.
Yeah.
You remember on the Shia chat, on forums. You know, you can tell deep inside. May Allah guide them, wallahi. They know something is wrong. They know that what on earth is going on. If this is the method of Ahl Bayt, should they not at least the top ones excel at everything? For God's sake, this Sistani fella doesn't even give a khutbah because he's embarrassed of his Arabic. I myself, wallahi al-azim, and Allah is my witness. I don't need any of them to believe me or not. Allah is my witness, and it's enough. I will never forget when I saw it from a Shia's mouth who hates me. Who said he sat with Sistani. And he said, I was shocked. The guy speaks poor Arabic. He speaks Arabic and with an accent like an Iranian auntie in Tehran who just tries to read from an Arabic newspaper. He was so shocked. And remember, brother Abu Muslim viewers, in Shia culture, these maraja, these ayatullahs, they are really, glorified and sanctified, and they've seen as holy and near perfect, and they are the representatives of the Mahdi, and they have all the knowledge. So this person was shocked. He was shocked to the core when he saw that. A'udhu billah. He said, he was like, now I know why this guy doesn't give any khutbah. There's no silly excuse, danger and whatnot. There's over 20 years of Shi'i government. So that's go Khomeini, type Khomeini Qur'an, type Khomeini Salah. إذا زلزلت الأرض زلزالها وأخرجت الأرض أعوذ بالله أعوذ بالله.
Yeah. So this is what his reply. Where do you set the threshold for that certain level? In that certain level, a threshold for a certain level, right? Basically, for an academic who poses with hundreds of books on Fathul Bari, and professes to be an academic and a polemicist, and gives lectures on Sunni versus Shia imama behind closed doors where no Sunni can come and chase him and chase him up. He needs to be at a certain level where he's not making the blunders you're going to see coming up soon. I mean, it's ridiculous. Okay. So here, Taqi Haydar picks up on his probably the least problematic mistake he made in that whole clip, right? Just about. And then he's honest. To be honest, this recitation does need improvement, but that does not mean the recitation falls below an average recitation.
Of course it does.
Which is unbelievable, which is crazy. When you listen
look
to
at the
this,
Muslim brother here at the top. He says every Muslim is obliged to know tajweed to a certain level, correct? You can tell this is Sunni. He knows this stuff. So that they don't butcher the meanings of the Quran, which he does when he reads Yakhshaha as Yakhshaha. He fears it. Even a beginner student. And then look, where do we set the threshold?
Yeah,
I've never entered a madrasa. I've never seen a madrasa from the beginning, from inside, because there is an answer actually. What is the threshold? Sheikh Akhi Usta, I don't want to. You don't like it. I keep it Abu Muslim. Abu Muslim, isn't the threshold? You correct me if I'm wrong. I'm a teacher myself, but I see you as my superior. Isn't the threshold what we all teachers tell their students, whether they're like 6 years old or 15 years old, 20s, older, mature students? Isn't the threshold that at the very least you don't make lahan, you don't make the major mistakes?
No.
Isn't that you have to definitely pronounce the letters correctly? If you don't add a ghunna or not a ghunna, that doesn't change the meaning.
No,
but if you change a ghain to kha,
or add a shadda where there's no shadda,
exactly.
Or I don't know, another good way of looking at it is the average madrasa in the UK. A child who's been in there for like 2 years in a madrasa, maybe even 1 year, or at least 1 year or 2 years, will not be making the mistakes you're going to see from this academic. Inshallah, it's just crazy. It's lunatic to say that this falls below this is an average recitation. Akhi, wallah al-azim, I swear by Allah, bro, I've listened to numerous Qur'an, I've prayed in numerous masajid, I've prayed behind imams who have horrendous recitation, and there's mistakes, there's madness in this recording that I've never heard. There's mistakes that I've never heard in my life in this surah. In my life, I've never heard in this surah. So should we dive in?
Yes. So long introduction, but that was needed. So now we're going to listen to Surah to Shams, by a Shia academic who did not learn the basics of the Quran, the basics of the Arabic language, like makharij al-huruf. So it's not nitpicking here. We're talking about basics. He's not much better than his ayatullahs, and you're going to see. Bismillah, let's start.
Okay. There you go. So, okay, so you should be able to hear this.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم والشمس وضحاها.
Okay. Right off the bat, I've never ever heard in my life anyone put a shadda on the meme. Not in any of the qira'at. Not that Shiites believe in the qira'at anyway, but not in any of the qira'at, a meme with a shadda on it. وَالشَّمْسِ وَضُحَاهَا. I don't know where he got that. Where do you think he got that from, Hassan? Any idea?
You see, if we wanted to nitpick, we would start with the basmala, isn't it?
Yeah.
See, but you're being nice. You're being nice. You're being nice that he doesn't know that the rise muraqaqa and Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. But al-muhim, that we get, it's he's ba'id that they know this. But washam, there is no shadda on the meme. Why would you hold the shadda on the meme? I tell you why you would do that. This is not a what do you call it? A small mistake. This is if you don't know how to read the Quran. This is if you make things as you go along. He doesn't know. He just reads it the way it sounds nice. So how can you add a shadda where there's no shadda? وَالشَّمْسِ وَضُحَاهَا. And this ha is also, it sounds quite similar to the ha, but al-muhim. But
anyway, let's carry on. Okay, so yeah, the shadda on the meme, that's a weird one.
والقمر إذا تلاها.
Okay, وَالْقَمَرِ. I've never heard anyone put a shadda on the lam, or even I can't tell. Is it a shadda or is it a mad?
Whatever it is, whatever it is, we can call it holding on the lam. This is a lam with sukoon. A lam with sukoon, you can't hold on the lam with sukoon because it might sound like a shadda then, or as if you are prolonging it. You can't say, well, this is Subhanallah.
I've never heard this. Have you heard this before?
Listen. After a few months teaching the younger ones, I've never seen one of them making these mistakes.
Yeah.
Everybody says, well, qamari. Say to them, listen, boys, it's well, qamari. There's no well, qamari. This guy says, wallah. And then he says, idha tala. There's a mat of alif.
He takes a breath halfway through the sentence.
There's no breath.
Yeah, there's no. I mean, it's not like all of a sudden the Shia love the qira'ah of Hamza. All of a sudden with its pauses.
The Imam said, Sheikh, they don't believe in qira'at aslan. They don't believe in ahruf. The Imam said, kadhabu. They lied. So if they kadhabu, so what did the Imam say? Oh, of course, all lies and khurafat and khuza'abalat attributed to the Ahlul Bayt alayhim as-salam. What did the Imam say? The Imam said, read like the people. The people in England, the vast majority of Muslims in the world, they read Hafs and Asim, right? Hafs and Asim, there's no break.
I mean, even with the recitation of Hamza, there's rules. And that's not talaha. That's not a place where you stop and take a pause. Anyway,
I say even if you're right.
And they don't want to recite qira'at, but they'll make up their own qira'ah in the process. Anyway, so let's see what happens next. What disasters await us next. Now on the noon, why? Now there's an ikhfa on the noon there. Where did that come from? There's supposed to be a straight ghunna. وَالنَّهَارِ, not وَالنَّهَارِ. That's so weird.
There's a strong ghunna there. Noon with shadda, meme and noon with shadda, strong ghunna, and that's it. There's nothing difficult about it. You teach this a child. You say to the child, kids, noon and meme with shadda comes with a very strong ghunna, and that's it. No ikhfa, no nothing.
How are you doing ikhfa on noon? Have you ever heard an ikhfa on noon, Hassan?
and then have you heard subhanallah, if this is nitpicking, I don't know. At the end, what is this? Jallaha. Jallaha.
So if we're only picking up the really, really big mistakes, if we wanted to nitpick, we'd pick up so many other things. But these are the major ones, basically. And again, he stopped. He did another pause, where you should not pause. There's no need. In the qira'ah of Hassan al Qadri, and even the other qira'at, that's not a place where you pause. Anyway, let's carry on with this musibat al-kubra.
والليل إذا يغشاها.
Okay, why is it
butchering? That's butchering finished.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm confused. Why is there yaghshaha become yakhshaha? That's clearly a kha, right? And again, either, why is there a pause after either? You're not supposed to pause there. Okay.
And there's a ghunna when it's well layli. You can't. Well, the wa is muraqqaqa. These are alif ba. Wow is a muraqqaqa letter. Is a light letter. So you can't say wa. You have to say wa. Wallayli. Wa. Is this difficult? Subhanallah.
Yeah.
He is an Iraqi. He's an Arab speaker. I'm a non-Arab speaker. So if I can do this, if kids here in madrasas can do that, if the elder ones who we teach can do this, why can't they? And why do they speak about the deen? Why do they speak about these matters if they can't learn the alif ba? Subhanallah.
And this basically embarrassed me. I looked very stupid.
Yeah,
mistakes all of us make. I do repeat in Arabic in Qur'an.
Yeah,
these basics.
Subhanallah.
Constantly.
Yeah. All right. Well, I have some good news. There's only 5 seconds left of this, so there's not much.
All right. Okay, alhamdulillah.
So that's another problem. A major problem with his recitation is that the timing and the lengthening of the letters is all wrong. وَالسَّمَاءِ وَمَا بَنَاهَا. There's no mad on these. This is a very short letter. وَالسَّمَاءِ وَمَا بَنَاهَا. That's it, straight up.
Yeah, do you think he knows the difference between mad al-far'i and the other mads?
No, not enough.
So yeah, I beg you.
Yeah. So this is the guy who's going around, wanted to challenge Sunnis. He still lectures on Sunni topics and posts up, defense of Shiaism basically, but obviously hides from debate, doesn't want to debate Imama, lots of excuses, calls himself a lion, etc., 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 poses with hundreds of books. Just recently, he posted up a video about how he learned Arabic in 6 months, which is obviously untrue because it's just proven that I don't know what he was learning in 6 months. It certainly wasn't Arabic or Qur'an. But yeah.
I don't know what to say. I by the way, I don't want to reveal it. I'm preparing another video about another clown. Really, it's a clown. But what should we do? These are our opponents. Yeah. This clown is sitting with some modernist zindiq, and this clown can't say. He can't say sheikh. He calls him sheikh, he calls him sheikh. He calls someone sheikh. He can't say the name of his own group. He can't literally say that's why I'm telling you, wallahi, these people, they think we are not playing around. We have challenged them. We said, come and debate Imama. They're scared to debate Imama. They had this one, this mentally ill Al-Atiyari who openly said, I lied to lure them into debate. I lied to debate about 12 Imams. I just wanted to talk about Tahrif because they don't believe in the Quran. They don't even learn to read the Quran correctly.
Yeah,
so
let's have a look at this. Let's have a look at one of your articles on regarding studying of Arabic and Qum.
Let's hear from the horse's mouth. Yeah.
So let's have a look. So the name of the article, from the Ayatollah's mouth: Sunnis put Shias to shame when it comes to the Quran. Who was it that was saying this?
Before you go down, you need to go up. That itself needs a little sharh. Come on, Sheikh.
This is crazy. Oh my God, subhanallah. So this is Rahbar, right? Don't they call it Rahbar?
Rahbar,
right?
Yes, the leader. Okay. This is the deputy of the Mahdi, according to the
Khomeini. Everyone's khums comes towards a portion of all their khums ends here with this guy.
But alhamdulillah, Ustad Abu Muslim, alhamdulillah, the 12 united. They always say we Sunnis are so disunited because we have atharis, we have this, we have madahib, we have ikhtilaf, we have this and that, and super Salafis and whatnot, but they are so united. Khamenei to one group is literally the representative of, and the deputy of the Mahdi, whereas according to the Shirazi and others, he's a shaitan and he's a passive homosexual. Al-Jari called him this, and he's a kafir and he's a zalim, and so on and so forth. So, mashallah, Madhab Ahlul Bayt has united them.
Yeah. So you can see he's got a massive, what is it? an iPad Pro.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
this,
God
a
doesn't
10
know the one surah, one few ayahs that he's reciting. Subhanallah.
Ajib, subhanallah, Ayatollah Khomeini.
Subhanallah. Look at
He's the
this.
head. Well, he's the deputy of the Mahdi, right? Anyway,
This
this is the book, The Hawza and the Scholars of Religion by Ayatollah Ali al-Khamenei, Al-Hawza wa Ulama ad-Din, fi dawi irshadat samahat al-fiqh al-qa'id. Yep, we can see here. Translation: The Hawza does not provide support with regard to the learning of the Quran, such as the study of its text and its basic sciences. Thus, the Hawza student learns fiqh and Islamic thought without being capable of reciting the Quran correctly. The lack of Quran memorization is one of the fundamental deficiencies in our Shiite Hawzas, and as it is not included in the curriculum. Therefore, to this very day, more attention is given to the memorization of the Alfiya and the Manzuma by Sabzawari
I don't think so.
than to the memorization of the Quran. This has tarnished the image of the Shia Hawzas. In fact, this lack of memorization of the Quran has led to a sense of embarrassment in dialogue conference meetings between Shia scholars and scholars from other schools of thought, even in front of their Sunnis young students.
Subhanallah.
Amazing, that's crazy.
والحوزات العلمية ببابكم انظر كتبهم الفقهية، كتبهم الأحكام لا علاقة لها بالقرآن. نعم في علم الأصول يقول عرض على القرآن، ولكن مرارا ذكرت بأنه كلام نظري لا قيمة له. لا دروس تفسير في الحوزة، لا علوم القرآن في الحوزة، أبدا. ليش؟ لأن الطالب لا يحتاج إليها.
Subhanallah. Before we go to the next one, I just want to comment very quickly before we go to the next one. I just recently listened to the ex-Shia Ahmed al Qadri. He's an ex-Shia who left. He annihilated Shiism. The books. He challenged them all to debate. They all don't want to debate him, strangely. And he mentioned something very interesting that not just him. This is not a secret. He mentioned Bababu Muslim and their viewers and listeners that Ayatollah Khou'i, the teacher of Ayatollah Khou'i, the chain smoker, or it was a chain smoker, the teacher of Sistani, he started to write the tafsir, and he started with the first few surahs of the Quran, and then he was discouraged. And then he was discouraged. Why? Listen to this. He was discouraged because in the Hawza, in the traditional Hawzas, focusing too much on the Quran, tafsir and stuff is discouraged. It's all about the riwayat, the khurafat from Bihar al-Dhulumat and these books of Zandaqa, what they deal with. Anything to do with tafsir and tajweed and the sciences. Now, here, disclaimer. That was the word I wanted to use at the beginning. A disclaimer. Nobody's saying they don't have tafsir books. Of course they have tafsir books. They have early tafsirs. They have their modern day tafsir is by this so-called Allamat Tabtabai. They do have tafsir. But what happened to Khou'i is that it is generally discouraged. Even the case of this Muhammad al-Tabai from the Iranian, he faced a lot of opposition to it. Subhanallah, look what kind of culture, what kind of anti-Quranic culture. So if they cite to us now some of the tafsir or some of the scholars who read Quran well, or some of the scholars who currently teaching Quran, or even now in the Hawza that they learn here in their Quran, this is not their culture. That's not the default practice. It's here and there. As they say in English, exceptions prove the rule. Now, and there's another comment, I'll leave it for later. Go ahead.
Yeah. So should we carry on with the document? Have a look at what else is in there.
Let's go. Admission number 2. That was admission number 1 for Khamenei.
Sunni scholars are more familiar with the Quran than anyone else. Lack of concern.
That's Khamenei.
Okay, so Khamenei is saying the lack of concern and effort of our Hawzat al-Ilmiya seminaries with regard to the memorization of the Quran represents a deficiency in its educational program in our present times. At the same time, some of the religious schools of Sunnis, little sons of generality, set conditions for their students to memorize the Quran at primary stages of their studies. And even if they don't put these conditions, they greatly encourage their students to memorize the Quran. This is why we see most scholars of Ahlul Sunnah being more familiar with the Quran than anyone else. Yeah. So, subhanAllah,
That's Khamenei. That's from Khamenei's book. You know what one of them said, brother Abu Muslim and viewers? One of them from this Bayt al-Ghadir, these Juhala, one of them said, Khamenei is tawazu. Khamenei is trying to be humble here. He's showing humility. He's not being he's not being humble. he's spitting facts.
Is
Khamenei is spitting facts. He's not being humble. He's not exposing you a lot in his book. Oh well,
yeah.
he did, but he did what he did. We thank him for that. But he's spitting facts. That's what it is. No.
Okay, I've got a question, right? So this is another a very often repeated point that the Shia make. When we say this and accuse them of not having a connection to the Qur'an, they will bring up the fact that they do have reciters.
Yeah,
they do have reciters, right?
Yeah. And then yes, if you can share this, I commented on this on Facebook.
Yeah. So 1 second.
That's good. That's a very important point there.
So yeah, this is repeated quite a bit.
They have uqda, they have this uqda inside of them, so they want to relieve it. Whenever they find one turban hat who can like semi-correctly recite the Quran, they're gassed and hyped.
Yep. So Nasibi Shias aren't people of the Quran. Really dying your rage, Ya Nawasib. Over 1 million of his caliber are trained annually in Iran. Inshallah, we shall access more Iranian scholarships for brothers to go and study in the great land after COVID-19, after they get their Turba vaccinations.
Okay, that's my field. You have to allow me first. That's my field.
Yeah.
So first of all, nobody says, I never said, and I would never, and if I ever said this, may Allah forgive me, and I take it back. Nobody says that all Shias can't read the Quran. Shias are human beings. Some of them might love the Quran more than a Sunni who abundance it. Shia people are human people like us, and we wish for them the best. We wish for them the guidance. We're not here to mock every Shia people. When we talk harshly, our issue is with these vile ayatollahs who make takfir on the Sahaba, who smile in our faces on these unity conferences in Tehran as those Iranian Sunni scholars who can speak the truth, those who are abroad say, they smile in your faces, say unity, brotherhood, Sunni, Shia, Wahda, huh? And then they go and have a 1 month, right now, the wailing session where they accuse Umar al Khattab of having killed Fatima and whatnot and other khurafat. And so our issue is not with the majority of the Shia people. When I say, or when we say that they can't read, it's that this is the default. And what do they do then? They do what this turban head did. I never called him Said. They're not Said of nobody. This Ali Shobairi. So he says, die in your rage. Because what? They show this one, some young fella, who, some Iranian, who recites the Quran well. You know what I say? I put one on top of this. Guess what? This I saw the same person, or was it Qadri or someone else? I saw some Shias doing it. There's this one turban head. I think he's Iraqi. He recites Quran beautifully. Iraqi Shia scholar who recites it. Nobody said it's impossible, but is this the default, or is this the exception to the rule? Undoubtedly, it's exception to the rule. So yes, you can bring the exception to the rule. It will not change the rule, which we're going to show how the grand ayatollahs recite. And one more last thing I need to mention that I always mention. This one is not a scholar. This one's not a scholar. It's an average Shia. I used to be a Shia. I used to love Quran, alhamdulillah. Even when I was a Shia, I used to love Quran. Our Quran circle was very small, very small. The vast majority of the youth didn't attend, but some attended. And there was one Afghan reciter. Afghan Shias, some of the reciters are top notch. I don't deny this. Iranian, some of them top notch. But guess what? Abu Muslim, you guess it. I ask you, the viewers, I can't now. Obviously, they're going to watch it later. I ask you, guess what was the first thing that was given to me and what I was advised to listen to? Who I was advised to listen to? Guess.
Who was the person?
Was it Ayatollah Mazahiri? Was it Ayatollah Fulan? Or who do you think it was?
Abdul Basit?
Yeah, exactly. Abdul Basit, Minshawi, and there was another one, third one that Abdul Basit, Husari.
Yeah,
these three. And then I was like, at the beginning, I was like, I was 18. I was said like, okay. And then I got the CDs, and it was always these names, always these Egyptians. Then I went to Iran 2003. Guess what? Anybody who's into Quran, and of course there were some of these Basijis. I met these Basij paramilitary, youth mainly, and I went to shops where they sent these Lotham CDs, self-flagellation songs, eulogies, wailing songs, and there was some Quran. Almost without exception, the top reciters, Muslims, Sunnis,
Yeah.
yes, Muslim Sunnis, yes, from
Subhanallah.
Egypt and elsewhere. What? And now I go further. You can go to any shop. I went to the bookshop here in Birmingham. And in Birmingham, they have this Darmak, very nice, beautiful shop. I'm advertising. They should give me some of that. No. I went there, and they have a section about Quran. They have, subhanAllah, they have one room. It's just about Quran. Anything related to the Quran, to the science of the Quran, to tajweed, tafsir. Guess what? Everything related to the sciences of the Quran, like tajweed, qira'at, ahruf, everything related to that comes from Sunnis. And then, they come with this silly, childish argument that the Quran was narrated, Hafs and Asim, they were Shias and stuff like that. Khurafat, they're majhulin, according to the hadith sites. They're unknown people. They were not Shias in the sense of 12. So anyway, point is, everything related to the science, yes, we can proudly state this. It's Sunni owned.
Definitely.
By Sunnis, for everybody. We are not, remember, there was this, I remember there was this clothing called For Us, By Us, FUBU. No, the Quran has By Us. The Quran is from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, of course. But the means, the way it was transmitted, the way to the next generations, and the sciences and tajweed and everything, and how it was canonized and how the people learned it, it's all from Ahl Sunnah. So even in Iran, my last point, every time you see any Muhammad or any Iranian, when they put him on YouTube, this little girl, little boy, and they excel, all of them without exception, I used to be one of them, they are influenced by who? By Sunnis. Egyptians. So if you see a Shia next time, says, but look, we have here this one guy, he's good, or that one. Say, undoubtedly he learned from Sunnis one way or another. Even if they say, no, my teacher was a 12er, where did he got this from? Where did he got the ahkam from? Ahkam of tajweed. Do you have riwayat? Do you have sanad back to Ja'far al-Sadiq? Do you have any sanad
look at the style of recitation as well. It's very clearly Egyptian mujawwad style recitation. Show us. Where is al-qira'a al-Iraniya? Where is al-maqam al-Irani? Look at the maqamat. You have maqam Kurdi, you have maqam Najdi, you have maqam Hijazi, you have Nahawan, Drast, all these from Egypt and different parts of the world. The Moroccans have their own style, the Algerians have their own style, the Libyans have their own style. You go to Syria, the Shami maqamat, the Shami style is very unique, subhanAllah. Where's the Iranian style? I'm talking about a proper style, recited properly, correctly, with all the ahkam, but they don't have one, which again shows that they've never had a culture of Quran.
Even Nahawand, Nahawand is originally a land where Persians used to live. Yes, but it is known, it is a Sunni qira'ah, as it's read by the Sunnis of Iraq.
Of Yeah, exactly.
When the Sunnis of Iraq recite with a bit, it has this sadness in the tone, isn't it?
Yes.
Yes, this is the qiraat of Ahlus Sunnah. Ahlus Sunnah. Just yesterday, I talked to a brother in Bahrain. He said they have a markaz called Ibn Taymiyyah. Some of the more braver Shias, I'm good. May Allah bless them. May they come and may they be guided. He said, if you want to learn Quran, you come there. Although, because where else? They come to our places. And then, Sheikh Abu Muslim, I will have to mention one more thing. If we say Ahlul Quran, recently I heard something. They say, oh, so you're just Ahlul Quran, so you reject the Sunnah. Look what childish people we are dealing with. Ahlul Quran are Ahlul Sunnah. Ahlul Sunnah are Ahlul Quran. Ahlul Athar are Ahlul Quran. These are all permissible terminologies. Ahlul Quran comes in the Sunnah. Ahlullah wa khasatihi. The Prophet said, Ahlul Quran are the people of Allah and His khasa, the special people of Allah.
We can have a look at some more examples. I have a really, really lovely example of a very famous, actually not famous, I don't think he's that famous, but he's quite well known. He appears on some of the Shia polemical channels. He's been in Speaker's Corner. He speaks there quite frequently. I don't know if he still goes, but he does lectures on YouTube. Right, do you see that?
For me, everything is blacked out, but as long as you can see it, and tell me, I can see it. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. You can see it now. Yeah.
No, for me everything is blacked out.
Oh, actually, okay, that's
Yeah.
weird. All right, that's fine. Yeah.
So what is it? You need to tell me.
This is Raza from Bayt al-Ghadir. I'll play
Oh
this
yeah,
clip.
yeah.
شبت ابن ربيعي التميمي اليربو أبو عبد الله القدوس.
Bro, what was that? Did you hear it?
That was Persian mixed with Hebrew
Let's try again.
and Urdu.
شبت ابن ربيعي التميمي اليربو أبو عبد الله القدوس. شبت ابن ربيعي التميمي اليربو أبو عبد الله القدوس.
All right. Well, I think we've abused your ears enough for that.
You see, imagine me and you, and the viewers as well. Imagine me and you were sitting here and we were nitpicking this guy, for example, is speaking 1 hour Arabic, and then we pick up like 50 mistakes.
Yeah.
SubhanAllah, people would say to us, what's wrong with you? You know, the person that stands there and he's, talking 50 minutes, preaching, teaching, defending himself in the Arabic language. Or let's say he's reading 20 minutes Qur'an, and then me and you nitpick it. Ya Jama'ah, this is not nitpicking. This person who, look, half his hair is falling out. This person who's probably in his mid-20s or whatever, this person doesn't know the difference between a ta and a ta. How can someone who doesn't know the difference between a ta and a ta have the audacity to speak about big matters of the deen? Nobody says that you need to know the difference between ta and ta to be a Muslim, so that Allah accepts you there. So don't conflate things. We're talking about who are these clowns who are supposed to be your polemicists. And on top of that, we are being gracious.
Yeah.
I told one of them, I said to them, I'm being nice that I offer you to debate me. I know some brothers, he said to me, yeah, Hassan, why do you debate? Why do you challenge this dull Sayyid Ali dude? Sayyid Astaghfirullah, this Ali Imam, the one with the military navy haircut. He's so jahil, he doesn't know the difference. He can't say the name of his own group. He says Baytul Ghadir. He can't say Bay'atul Ghadir. Why, Akhi? This is Aib. Don't debate him. This is jahil. I said, yeah, Akhi, what should we do? We challenge the speakers. These are the speakers. One of them comes with a worse excuse. Qadri, extends, this and that, say apologize. I don't know, you have fake accounts, email account, I will expose you from your account. Expose whatever you want, you clown. When you going to expose? Now 5 years. Do whatever you want. Who cares? The other one accuses you of all sorts of things. The Sayyid Ali guy, he said to me, why don't we first debate about if you support suicide attacks and terrorism? I reject these things. What about then let's discuss if you're homosexual or not, if you're closet homosexual. Imagine I would say, no, I'm not debating with Sayyid Ali from Bayt al-Ghadir. He first has to prove if he's a closet homosexual or not. Right.
Yeah,
is this logical?
It's an obfuscation. It's escaping from the real topics at hand. It's escaping with subhanallah.
So where is the big? We are waiting for the. We need to wrap it up. But before we wrap it up, we need the Musibatul Kubra. We want to show that where there is what they say, where there is smoke, there's fire. Where there is smoke, there's fire. صح ولا لا؟ طيب. When these polemicists who parrot with and they champion their books and they say Asrar, we came like lions and whatnot. You know, this Asrar Rashid from the Sufi Barelwis, he's a scholar according to this firqa. And if these people talk like this, where there's smoke, there's fire, especially with the it's getting juicy, let's say. Where's my juice? My juice is finished. When there's smoke, there's fire. That means they got it from somewhere, this tradition of failing in the basics. Where did they got that tradition from? Muslim. If you show us these great individuals who we are supposed to follow. Yeah.
Allahu Akbar.
Allahu Akbar. Mat alif. A'udhu billah.
Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim.
Stop, please. Stop already. Stop, please.
Rahmanir Rahim.
Wait.
Malik Yawmiddin. إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين.
You know, Shaykh al-Islam ibn Taymiyyah, may Allah guide the masses of the Shias. Shaykh al-Islam ibn Taymiyyah, he called the Rafida the heads, because the masses of the Shias, wallahi, they are the biggest victims of Shiism. They follow charlatans and zanadiqa like this person. Shaykh al-Islam ibn Taymiyyah said the Rafida ummat makhdhula, they are a humiliated nation and they are religiously bankrupt. If you follow someone like this, look, now I can imagine all the excuses coming now, you know, damage control. Yeah, but he's an Iranian, you know, it's his mother tongue. What do you mean? I can show you 100 Pakistanis.
Tell us about his, I know you know his background. Tell us about his background.
His name is Ayatollah Mazahiri. And Ayatollah. Yani he reached ijtihad status. He can give fatwa according to the madhab. Yani this person can claim to be in a way the representative of the imams, as in and he inherited the knowledge and he can pass fatwa. How is that possible if this man did not sit for just a few weeks and learned makharij what other non-Arab, including Sunni Persians, Sunni Iranians in Iran, managed to master? It takes 2 years to be really profound, 3 years to be really profound. To get the basics right, it takes a few weeks. That means this person that you just saw, that you just heard, he never sat even for a few hours. Has nothing to do with him being Iranian, being non-Arab, mocking his accent. This is not about mocking. I'm an Iranian myself. We're not here to mock any Iranians, to mock the. Sometimes they say, "Oh, you mock the Persian language. Look at these masakin." I love the Persian language. It's a beautiful language. It's a poetic language. I teach my children Persian. Nobody mocks the Persian language. But here's the question. Muslim and the viewers. Imagine you find a group of people who are claimants towards some sciences that are related to the Italian language.
Yeah.
And then you see them after generations, and you see the top scholars reciting Italian poetry in the thickest German or Russian accent possible. Wouldn't Italian people say, what's going on? You guys are claiming our language and you're the masters of this and our language is part of your religion. And yet, why do you fail? Why do you read it almost, it sounds like on purpose with your Persian accent? With your Russian or German accent. You see my example? How people, those who are smart, they will get it quickly. That's the same. The problem is not the Persian language or accent. The problem is, how can you read as someone on this position, on this rank, and authority, and mujtahid mutlaq, and Ayatollah is a mujtahid mutlaq, a grand Ayatollah. He gives up risala. How can you fail at the basics? This person can't read half, forget the whole, half of the Fatiha with semi-correct tajweed. Same with this Sayyid Ali from Bayt al-Qadir is dull jahil. Same with this Raza. Same with this. As for mistakes, all of us make mistakes, guys. But is this any standard? Then they ask for threshold. Forget about the threshold. Your threshold is down 6 feet under the earth. Further, it's in the sardab. That's the problem. That's problematic, and that's what Ahl Sunnah will always. That's why I encourage brothers. I say always emphasize this. It's not about mocking. Come, bring it on. Show my mistakes. So what? Show Hassan Shibrani made mistakes in Arabic here. He made mistakes. Yes, I say it. I say I make 100 mistakes. Who cares? First of all, I'm not Ayatollah Shibrani. Second of all, I always say I make 100 mistakes. More than 100 mistakes. Normal. Mistakes is normal. But do I go and like this Raza or the Sayyid Ali and say, shake, and you can't even know, you can't even understand what he's reading from the book? That's the difference. This is how low the level is. This is what we're dealing with, and we are being generous and say, no problem. Come, sit next to me, and let's discuss. let's discuss, let's debate these issues. Well, of course they're scared. Of course they're scared. They know we're gonna. In Farsi we say "Mocheshono migirim." In Farsi we say we're gonna grab them at their wrist, You know, they know when we sit there and this jahil can't even read the book that he's quoting from. So I say, what are you doing? You're miskin. What did you just say? Tormuzi, Ajo Tormuzi. Who is Tormuzi? This is a debate. Do you mean Imam Tirmidhi? Is your problem the Dhal? I'm not here to mock you. Okay, Tayyib, Tirmidhi. But who on earth is Tormuzi? Who's Shik? Who's Imam Uli? All of them is maskhara, mahzala. You know, this is really, it reaches a level where I'm considering, you know, to take the advice of some of my elders who say these people are clowns. There's Qadri and Sayyid Ali, this Bayt al-Ghadir. But no, inshallah, I'm ready whenever they are ready, inshallah. No. To debate Imama. Then we can not close one eye, close two eyes in both ears when they recite Qur'an. No. So is there anything else we need to share? We have to share.
Yes. One more thing.
Right.
One more thing, my brother. One more thing.
Go ahead.
So we heard an amazing recitation of Surah Shams, right?
Yes.
And now it's only fair that we show one more thing from the same person. This is exactly what we were talking about. The fact that, you know, you have a massive problem with the very basics of Islam, the very basics of the building blocks of the religion, but you want to pose with books and make huge, grandiose statements, which completely belie your ignorance, right? So that's a massive issue. So if we bring some attention to this, inshallah. Do you see that?
No, as I told you, for me, everything froze. Everything. I can't see nothing.
Can you hear
I can hear.
There is not a single verse
So
in
here
the
he
Quran
is.
to prove that all of the companions were just. There isn't a clear-cut hadith that all of the companions were just.
There you go. So now he's sitting there. He's got Fath al-Bari in front of him. He's got a whole bunch. Actually, a lot of these books are in English. But a lot of them are in Arabic as well. So there's tons of books. There's probably, like, God knows if you can count them. And he's posing there with all of these books. And it's pretty fantastic. Pretty fantastic.
Glorious champion winner of Islam. We do not hide away.
We don't hide away.
So next time, I don't care, Abdul Rahman Hassan, Asrar Rashid, Murtada Khan, any of them, you make a statement against the Shia, no. There will be an action against it.
Yeah, the action will be making response videos in dark car parks, in locked away car parks, and in private venues where you have to DM him to get the address. That's the response, basically.
The bluff, nothing else.
So be aware. The time where Shias hide away
and not know how to recite Surah Shams
has finished. It's the age of the media now.
Oh yes.
It's the age where one word you say will get to 100,000 people.
Or one messed up recitation.
So I am saying to you.
Here we go.
And I'm saying it specifically to Asrar Rashid because you did not turn up. You showed today that you are a coward. Now we've got a few more hours. We've got about 2 more hours.
Right, Hassan, we're going to say there's a video coming out soon, isn't there, for this exact person regarding the debate claims, right?
Yeah.
We've got one. Inshallah, that one's coming out.
The pipeline.
So what we're showing you,
the only cowards are these people. They are reluctant. They're scared. They don't want to debate Imam.
What we're showing you right now. What you were showing you right now.
I will repeat it until my death.
Yeah.
Shias are ready. Look, he wanted to debate a Sufi Barelwi on the topic of Adalat al-Sahaba, because he knows Adalat al-Sahaba, he can throw shubuhat, doubts, and then the Sunni has to, juggle and, has to block, basically. They don't want to debate the Asl.
Here comes the big one.
That is Imama.
Imam, yeah.
You called out the Shia like lions. We came to you. You called out the Shia. You saw 50 to 60 brothers turn up.
And 50 to 60 mistakes that you never heard before in Surah Shams. Anyway,
that's
a separate topic altogether. Inshallah, we're gonna watch out for a new video soon on that.
Inshallah, yes. So you saw how not to recite the first few verses of Surah Ash-Shams.
So let's wrap up now. Let's give a very quick 2-minute wrap up, inshallah. What advice do you give to Shia in general and Muslims in general?
I give advice to
regarding
all
the Quran?
Muslims, and there is, of course, we don't make takfir on all Shias. There is people who call themselves Sunnis who are far away from Islam, who worship graves. And I know personally Shias who are closer to Islam than Sunnis. So an advice to all Muslims is that al-tawheed awwalan and al-Qur'an awwalan. That's not even tanaqud. There's not even contradictions. Both of these things come first. First comes tawheed, first comes Qur'an. Qur'an is something that is part of your daily life. That is why the scholars say it's fard ayn. It's not fard kifaya. You can't say, yeah, but my uncle can read Quran well. My ayatollah can't read well. We've just seen how these ayatollahs can read. So every person has to learn the basics of tajweed to recite the word of his Rabb correctly. Everybody. And if you don't do this, you end up like Ayatollah Khomeini, Mazahiri, Shirazi, Hassan al Qadri, and their likes, if you don't do this. So you don't want to end up like this, instead of wasting your time day and night in polemics, it's better to first stick to the Quran and learn the basics, alif ba, and then maybe you can have the audacity to doubt the iman of the chiefs of the Sahaba and the closest companions of the Prophet ﷺ. If you don't know these alif ba, then you don't need to act like you can doubt the iman and speak about big matters. This is an advice to all. That goes even to Sunnis, this advice.
Yeah. Jazakallah khairan. It's been a great stream, alhamdulillah. Thank you for your time.
Inshallah, you need to edit everything.
We look forward to having more of these, inshallah. And we're going to leave our viewers with just one last thing, and inshallah, we're going to be gone after this. So, inshallah, this is the recitation of a child who is reciting Surah Shams.
Non-Arab, of course.
Yes, the child who's doing this is non-Arab. The ones who are behind this,
So there's no excuse that,
No. Let me share this.
All right then.
Bismillah.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم والشمس وضحاها والقمر إذا تلاها والنهار إذا جلاها والليل إذا يغشاها والسماء وما بناها والأرض وما طحاها ونفس وما سواها فألهمها فجورها وتقواها قد أفلح من زكاها وقد خاب من دساها كذبت ثمود بتغواها إذ انبعث أشقاها فقال لهم رسول الله ناقة الله وسقياها فكذبوا